Spiritual Beast Rampengu is forever alone, no more! Hey everybody, Leespeed here, coming at you with another video today. This time, we're going to be talking about a couple of things in this video. We're going to be talking Spiritual Beast, or Ritual Beast. I keep calling it Spiritual Beast. Well, technically, half of it is Spiritual Beast and the other is Ritual Beast Tamers. Don't ask me why. But we're going to be talking about a couple of things in this video. We're going to be talking about the latest fusion monster that's been recently revealed for them. And also, power creep. Now, I'm not going to be talking about like what caused it and how we could fix it, because honestly, I don't know how we can really fix it that doesn't involve anything ridiculous and over the top, you know what I mean? But anyways, let's talk about Ritual Beast Ulti-Gaiapelio, and yeah, there's a lot going on here. I mean, it's basically a friggin' giant mixture. It's basically Rara, Apelio, and that level 10 Earth Fusion Psychic, not Earth Fusion. That Naturia Landois and Leo Fusion thing. Gaiastralio, I think. Yeah, I think that's the name. It's basically that guy. But yeah, it's basically a mixture of all three of them, and it's like, holy shit, what the heck is going on here? Well, it ties in with the story, you know, the dual terminal story stuff. So yeah, it makes sense in that sense. Yeah, it makes sense in that sense. Great choice of words there. Anyways, let's go over the card, as it were. It is a light psychic fusion effect, level 10, 3200 attack, 2100 defense. Damn, that thing's got a lot of attack points. That's definitely a step up from the others by a long shot. Its requirements are 1 Ritual Beast Ulti monster plus 1 Ritual Beast Tamer plus 1 Spiritual Beast monster. For people who don't know, Ulti is basically the Ulti monsters are basically the Ritual Beast fusion monsters. So it requires one of their fusions, a Tamer, and a Spiritual Beast. So that's 3 monsters to make this thing. Must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards you control. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. You do not use polymerization. If summoned this way, during either player's turn, when a spell card, trap card, or monster effect is activated, you can banish 1 Ritual Beast card from your hand, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Okay, first things first, you can cheat with Bond with the Ritual Beast, but you will not be able to use his effect. Mainly because you have to summon him properly by banishing the above material as such, you know what I mean? So you have to contact fuse normally to get the effect off. So don't even try doing it unless you just want to summon a 3200 beat stick, which, I mean, it's not terrible at all. Especially if you're just trying to go for game, you can just attack, summon this guy with Bond with the Ritual Beast, and then attack again. So that's kind of a cool thing you can do. But obviously the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb besides its crazy requirement from the looks of it is the effect. It's basically Herald of Perfection, where you get rid of a card and then you can negate a spell trap or a monster effect or something like that. So yeah, that's pretty crazy actually, because if you think about it, it's like, and with 3200 attack, I mean, your opponent's probably gonna have to use some kind of effect to get rid of this guy. Now, this doesn't stop effects of spells and traps already face up on the field. You know, a card like, you know, Qliphort Scout, if it's already face up or something like that, it won't negate the effect of Scout that's already, you know, placed on the field before this guy even hit the board. But, you know, if they, you know, activate Qliphort Scout from the hand as a spell card, you can negate it with his effect. Now, I like the effect a lot, but there's one big problem though. It doesn't fix the problem it doesn't fix the initial problem the archetype has. And obviously the problem that I brought up is some form of consistency. I mean, I brought it up in my last video because, well, honestly, I think that because I was asking you guys like, well, what the heck did they need? And some of you guys came with some interesting ideas, like some were simple, like Erota and Recycle. Now, I kind of like the idea of recycling because you need maybe a way to recycle these spells and traps. Now, would it be kind of broken? I don't know. I mean, in this current day and age, it probably isn't broken, but it would definitely help the deck out a lot. And there was this one guy who brought up that they need a tamer with a similar effect as Tour Guide. So, you know, we have a tamer that summons one from the the grave, then we have one that summons one from the banish zone. So I guess to complete the trilogy of tamers, you would have one that summons from deck. And it would help. It would maybe help, a turn 1 fusion. I mean, you would go summon the tamer, get out Kanahawk or something like that, banish Rampengu, make Kanahawk or something like that, get some searches off and whatever, and you'd be kind of good to go. It would definitely help with the consistency factor. And I think that's pretty much what it needs there. Because basically, if you can get out like a fusion monster very quickly, you can basically just kind of go like, okay, you could basically just go like, summon like ulti Kanahawk, return some material, search for Rara. Now, depending on, and get the trap card that destroys a combination with the Ritual Beast. Next turn, you go Rara, summon a Ritual Beast monster, go for this giant ass Ritual Beast Ulti-Gaiapelio. Now, again, it's not difficult per se. You just need a way to get to your fusion monsters out turn 1 more consistently. Then, then we could be saying, yeah, by turn 2, you can get this guy out and you can start controlling the board. Now, obviously, you have to banish Ritual Beast cards from your hand. And you may not always have that many in your hand, especially if, you don't want to have too many in your hand, because sometimes you might get a clumpy hand and you can't do anything. So I think the only thing that really needs is some slight consistency as far as getting the fusions out. Outside of Elder, because heck, for one, you're not always going to have Elder. And two, you need a way to kind of mitigate the minuses you're going to generally have without using Kanahawk. Like if you don't have Kanahawk, I mean, you kind of need to mitigate some of the minuses you go through summoning these guys. But yeah, so like I said, this card is very strong in effect, and I think this card has a lot of potential. I think if we just give a little bit more consistency to the deck, and some way to maybe recycle the trap or something, like the trap cards or something, then I think the deck could be maybe tier 2 or something like that. It wouldn't be like super broken, because trust me, nothing's super broken compared to like Burning Abyss, Qliphort, and stuff like that. Even like Shadow to an extent, even though El Shadow Wendigo is terrible. I'm sorry, baby, but you just suck. You really suck. Now, I'll talk about Wendigo separately, but she's not that great. Now, let's get into the other topic, and actually, these two can kind of go hand in hand because it kind of fits in this whole power creep thing. And I guess now this isn't going to be me suggesting like what I would do to fix it, because honestly, I don't know what we could do to fix it that doesn't involve doing something really stupid. You know what I mean? Something stupid that would make the game worse. Now, when people talk about power creep, we talk about how the game progresses and stuff like that. I mean, we can't always be stuck in GOAT format forever. Eventually, the game needs to evolve. Sometimes we need to expand on to other things. New mechanics that get introduced into the game. We have the introduction of synchros. Now, there were points in time where synchros were considered really broken. And fair enough, I mean, some of them were just incredible at the time. And, maybe by today's standards, they're somewhat decent. And maybe a couple of them still hold up even today. You know what I mean? But when it comes to power creep and how one chooses to fix it, I don't know. Like, some people talk about, bringing cards back from the ban list or like the limited or whatever, because they wouldn't be as good in the current format. Now, to an extent, yes, I agree. In fact, look at Blackwings. I mean, didn't Blackwings just get their third Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind back? I mean, don't they have 3 Whirlwind? They have 3 Kalute? Clearly, they're not making an impact on the metagame, but obviously, they're just a little bit better than they were when they just had, the 1 Gale. Now, here's one thing I don't agree with, and I don't know, and I'm not saying you guys are saying that, but I'm just thinking in general, like, when it comes to bringing older decks back into the game, you have to be really careful though, because I think while cards like, like archetypes like Blackwings wouldn't change the game, I think bringing back certain cards off the ban list would. For example, being Spellbook of Judgment. Now, I remember seeing some people being like Spellbook of Judgment back to 1 or 2. Now I know what you guys are probably thinking, like, has this guy lost their mind? Has the guy lost his mind or something? Well, I understand why someone would say that, because prophecy obviously isn't as powerful as it used to be. And to be completely honest though, like, Spellbook of Judgment, in my opinion, is one of the most retardedly designed cards ever printed. And even when I played it in Prophecy, deep down inside, I freaking hated that card. I hated it. I hated it with every fiber of my being. I hated what the card did for the deck. Well, I love what it did for the deck, but I hate its interaction with other decks, basically. Like, when you resolve that card, you got so much advantage that your opponent just can't do anything. Now, yes, we had cards like Eradicator, Epidemic Virus, and stuff like that to, you know, counteract that. But again, you had to have those cards, otherwise you just lose, because they'd be so up ahead of you in advantage unless you're playing a deck that can, like, OTK out the wazoo. And heck, some variants of Prophecy with Judgment, they would play stuff like Kaiku or Jowgen the Spiritualist to lock out the opponent so they can't play. You know what I mean? So it creates, the card itself created a lot of problems, and as such, it got banned. It didn't go to 2, it didn't go to 1, it got banned, forbidden, zilch, nada. It's gone. And it's still currently gone right now. Now, some people might think, you know, bringing back Spellbook of Judgment would make Prophecy more of a viable deck, and, you know, would add variety to the game. And actually, I agree 100%. Like, I agree with add variety, but here's my question to you guys on this. Like, would bringing back a card like Spellbook of Judgment or Gateway of the Six, because it's basically in the same category as far as like advantage it generates. It's basically in the same category. They're not the same exact card, but the way they're operated, the way they operate, they pretty much are. But would bringing back cards like Spellbook of Judgment or, you know, Gateway of the Six or, I don't know, freaking Snatch Steal. Now, Snatch Steal is back, but does bringing cards like that off the list make the game better, or does it make it worse? That's what I'm worried about when it comes to bringing certain cards off the ban list or certain cards from 1 to 2. Now, some people love like Inzektors because, you know, they may like maybe how the archetype plays, maybe they like the artwork because they're like common riders and stuff like that. Now, personally, I didn't like how Inzektors operated back then because they just create awkward game states where it's just kind of like, oh, well, if you set cards, I'm just going to blow them up with Hornet and Dragonfly and Centipede and all that other stuff. And if you don't play anything in hopes that I can't make advantage off of your cards, I can just go blow up my own cards, special summon with Dragonflies, summon Centipedes and stuff like that, and OTK you. Like, the deck can like OTK you when you don't have any cards to pop yourself. So if you don't have anything to pop and they have stuff like Excalibur and Gigamantis and all that other stuff, they can OTK you without you having any cards for them to pop. You know what I mean? So the question being, would bringing those decks back make the game better or make the game worse? The reason I'm even asking that is because there were a couple videos recently talking, in fact, Mega Capital G, I'll use him for reference, that he recently uploaded a video, well actually it's today at the time I'm recording this, he talked about Snatch Steal and its impact on the game. And a lot of the general consensus is the card should not have come back. Like, the card just steals games left and right. And, you know, and as it did back when it was first released. Heck, the thing that's different from then and now is that we have synchros, we have exceeds. Heck, you could argue that mind control is just as stupid sometimes because you could just take any monster instead of just a face-up monster. But the big difference is you couldn't attack with mind control or tribute the monster. The only thing you could do is flip it up. You can exceed something, you can maybe synchro something, but you can't tribute with it at all or attack. So in that sense, it's a worse card than Snatch Steal technically is. But at the same time, mind control can get face downs, and sometimes that's more important. But to me, I think when it comes to how the game is right now, and, you know, people talk about friggin' how fast the game is right now, then that's the thing. Like, when we talk about bringing certain cards off the ban list, do we have to think about this for a minute? Like, is it going to make the game better, or is it just going to make it faster and more ridiculous? Like, when it comes to, like, you know, Inzektors, like, if you gave them, like, you know, 3 Dragonfly, 3 Hornet, you know, like back in the day, like I think what would end up happening is that you'd have another potential OTK deck in the format, where, yeah, it may not do that much against Burning Abyss, but against a lot of the other decks, it's gonna wreck them. Then they're gonna get punished for trying to play defensive trap cards, or they'll get punished for not playing any traps because they can just blow up their own stuff, summon monsters with Dragonfly, search with Centipede, and they can just summon a bunch of stuff and OTK you. And heck, I recently watched videos like this from Lithium 2300. Shout out to him. But he does several duel videos, you know, whether he's talking about new stuff, old stuff, through cross ban lists. Like he did a cross format video with Lightsworn, you know, full power Lightsworn with like 3 Charge of Light Brigade, 3 Honest, 3 JD, and all that other stuff against full power Lightsworn. Now, basically, it was a huge blowout because when Inzektors went off, you basically lost. Like if you put cards on the field, well, I'm just gonna pop your shit and make a lot of advantage. And in some cases, they can OTK you. But if you don't put anything on the field, they can just blow up their own shit. And with Dragonflies and all that other stuff, they can just summon, OTK you. And it was just very frustrating. So, and when it comes to like 6 Samurai, I mean, Gateway to 6, I still think it's on the same caliber as Spellbook of Judgment. Now, they're not the same, like I said, but I think as far as like application and effect, I think it was poorly designed. And I don't think that Burning Abyss being in the game I don't think Burning Abyss should justify bringing back Gateway of the 6. Heck, and if anything, I would rather them bring back, I'd rather them bring new support that, you know, helps the deck. And at this point, you gotta wonder, like, where's this game going? I mean, people are playing like, you know, Swift Scarecrow. Like, I've heard people are playing Swift Scarecrow to prevent all these crazy OTKs, you know, from Burning Abyss and Qliphort and stuff like that, or even Shadal, because, you know, Denko dolls is a thing. You know, they play Denko Sekka. Heck, I kind of blame Denko Sekka to an extent for what's going on right now, because people were like playing a lot of back row, and then when Denko Sekka gets summoned, it's like, well, you don't get to play any of your traps, and then I'm gonna go off and kill you. Like, you're not gonna get to play. And that's the thing, like when I played against UA in this video or whatever, like I didn't feel like I was just getting wrecked turn after turn after turn every game. I felt like, you know, I was actually playing the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like it wasn't exactly just like, oh, it was a complete blowout, but at the same time, it wasn't completely super duper slow either. It was just like a, you know, a normal game, you know. He did stuff, I did stuff. Sometimes I opened bad, but you know, it wasn't completely over. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, like, power creep is a very interesting thing because the way we think about bringing cards back and stuff like that, some days could probably come back fine, you know, like Bestiari. But at the same time, when it comes to cards like Spellbook of Judgment or something like that, where when those cards hit the field and they resolve, the amount of advantage that it gives is intensive. In fact, it's argued that the card should never come back at all. And sure, maybe Prophecy wouldn't do as much against Burning Abyss, but again, I don't care if Burning Abyss gives it a terrible time, because honestly, Burning Abyss shouldn't have been this OP in the first place. And Lithium 2300's right. Well, to an extent. Well, for the most part, I agree with his statement in his latest video with X-Sabers against Qliphort, where he talks about Konami is kind of not caring about the game anymore, just because of what's going on right now. And the saving grace right now, and I think you guys can agree with me, is the up and coming, I believe it's World Superstars. It is a set that the TCG is coming out with soon in like April or something, and it's basically going to have the world premiere OCG cards like Chronomaly Nebra Disc, Gaga's Sister probably, and, you know, the heroic cards and the, you know, Elemental Blaze Man and stuff like that. So we're finally going to get those cards at last. Basically, the OCG had them in their variants of previous sets like Legacy of the Valiant, Next Challenges, etc. You know, kind of like how we have our own exclusive cards. Now we're finally getting theirs in one giant set. So I'm definitely looking forward to see the spice that these add to the game. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm looking more forward to that. But otherwise, this game is just, it's just shifting in a very strange direction. And honestly, now I understand why one of my friends recently quit Yu-Gi-Oh! because of stuff like this. Because of stuff like what's going on right now. I definitely understand why he would never want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever again. So, yeah, and let me know what you guys think about this whole thing, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll still do Yu-Gi-Oh videos, guys. It's just that don't be surprised if I sound pretty bitter in some of these new videos. In fact, I'm probably going to do some more Pokemon as well, because it just doesn't feel, at least with Pokemon, it doesn't feel as stagnant as Yu-Gi-Oh is right now. And heck, if I knew how to play Card Fight Vanguard, I probably would get into it, because I may want to play, like, you know, the Bermuda Triangle clan or something like that, whatever the archetype is in there. I don't know how viable it is or if it is playable, but I would love to play a deck like that if I knew how to play Vanguard. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.